Hi, I'm Michael Levin, and I'm here to talk about the Shrine to the Red Jews, which is a piece that I made for B&AB's Refrig-Curator series. So who are the Red Jews and why build them a shrine? Who are the Red Jews? The Red Jews are the product of a particularly fertile medieval German imagination. They kind of first crop up in a German telling of the Alexander Romance, which is a much older narrative cycle about Alexander the Great's conquests in the East. In Germany, one element of this folklore is that Alexander the Great comes across the 10 lost tribes of Israel in the Caucasus Mountains. And the 10 lost tribes of Israel turn out to be particularly savage, particularly warlike barbarians. So Alexander the Great, with the help of God, trap the Red Jews, these barbarians, in the Caucasus Mountains for the good of Western civilization, so that they can never escape and never do what they would love to do, which is completely destroy Western civilization down to its foundations and institute Jewish overlordship over the West. This legend, as much as it seems kind of hateful to the Jews, actually was greatly loved by the Jews. The Jews, hearing this in medieval Germany, actually adopted the legend into their own folklore and gave it a new life that was actually longer than its original life. As the German legend became forgotten, the Yiddish legend actually persisted and did so down to the 19th century, until eventually becoming forgotten by the Jews themselves. The connection that the Red Jews have to my work in general, the reason that I really wanted to advance this concept, is through my research on the Khazar theory, which is a particular theory of Jewish origins that's highly controversial. It's not really regarded as real scholarship by anyone, but nonetheless it still kind of can be found in various circles, specifically on the internet. The Khazar theory was advanced by a European Jew by the name of Arthur Koestler, and his idea was that there was a medieval group of Turks that were called the Khazars. They built an empire in the Caucasus, squarely between the Byzantine Empire, which was Christian, and the Muslim Caliphate, which was Islamic. Throughout their history, in their short history as an empire, they eventually, after searching through a number of religions, potential religions to convert to from paganism, they chose to convert to Judaism, and then subsequently disappeared. Now, what Kostler would like to believe is that as they disappeared, they actually kind of disintegrated into European Jewish circles to the point that they actually constitute a larger contribution of genes to the Jewish community in Europe than the ancient Palestinians. So ultimately, European Jews, Ashkenazi Jews, in his idea, are the descendants of the Khazars and not the descendants of the ancient Israelites. Now, much like the Red Jew legend kind of crossed boundaries from being an anti-Semitic legend, an apocalyptic fear of Christians, towards being a kind of promise of Jewish deliverance, so too did the Khazar theory actually cross boundaries in a particularly unexpected way. It was loved by anti-Semites, despite the fact that Arthur Koestler intended his theory to undermine a European anti-Semitism, to undermine its racial basis. His idea was that if the European Jews are descended from Turkish nomads and not from ancient Semites, that there can be no anti-Semitism, that it just would cease to exist. Now, as I said, anti-Semites loved the legend because it had this kind of conspiracy tinge to it, that Jews are kind of secret people descended from secret origins. But at the same time, Jews, who it was intended to benefit, hated it, especially Zionists, because the notion that Jews could be descended from Khazars, from Turks, and not from ancient Palestinians, means that the Jews do not have a legitimate claim to the land of Palestine as a homeland. So moving from the concept to the piece itself, why build a shrine? The shrine specifically was my way of responding to the unique challenge of making an art show in a refrigerator. I didn't want to approach that show without dealing with the refrigerator itself, so I got to thinking, what is a refrigerator about? And of course the first thing that pops to mind is that a refrigerator is about preservation. What can be preserved? Well, in order to look at what can be preserved, what needs to be preserved, you need to look at what's perishable. Food is perishable, and concepts are perishable. So food can be preserved in refrigerators in the same way that concepts such as the Red Jew legend can be preserved in an art show. So the shrine, the reason for the shrine was basically to get food and concepts into play with one another. Shrines usually involving food offerings. So what I did specifically was to put milk and honey in the fridge in a way of kind of presenting it as a food offering to the potential red Jewish Messiah that will obliterate Christian culture and Western civilization and initiate some Jewish golden age. And to bring that kind of legend, that belief that's so lost, that's so kind of decayed and perished at this point, into communication with food that we look at as being perishable all the time. So I wanted to create that kind of parallelism between the food and the concept. And that was really my intentions, long and short. So thank you for listening.